well as can I get a confirmation from the chat that I'm coming through okay. Once I get that, then I will. All right, great. We're doing it. It's been so long since I have just managed a stream on my own, so I'm excited to be back, chatting with the crowd, seeing our longtime fans here, and seeing new players, and give it a little bit for people to come in because I started streaming a little early just to make sure everything was working before we get into the meat of it. One of my goals is to answer. I know there's been a lot of questions around the recent Web3 announcement and all of the concerns there, so I want to be able to address those directly. I want to be able to talk about all the exciting new things that are coming and new features that we have recently added, new features that are coming soon for the for SolForge Fusion. I'll be happy to talk about other things besides SolForge Fusion, and then I'd love to jump into some games and actually just play because I love playing the game, and I'll probably jump into the queue and battle some folk and maybe play some campaign for the course of the 45 minutes or so that I will likely be here. So one of the things, I got some questions from people in our Discord. For anyone that's not following the Discord, I highly encourage you to come join our Stoneblade Discord. We could probably put a link in the chat here at some point, or if any of my team is watching, they can put a link in because that's where a lot of the discussion happens. And I answered a lot of the questions there, as did other members of my team, but that tends to get buried through lots of chat and live discussion. So I figured putting some live video time in and being able to answer questions in a way like this would be great. So for outside of the Discord, this is one of my favorite channels, and I'll be doing some more AMAs and discussions on different platforms just to kind of answer people's questions and be able to interact directly, because that's really what this is about. This game has been fan created from day one, and as you might recall, day one was more than 12 years ago. Richard and I first started working on the original version of SolForge in 2011 and did our first crowdfund in 2012. And so this has been really a fan interactive experience from day one. SolForge Fusion has also been, and SolForge more broadly has also been at the forefront of technology from day one. We were the first game that came native to mobile, right? We built the game with 5 lanes of combat and built in a system that would work well on phones, work well on tablets before things like Hearthstone and Magic Arena existed. With the algorithmic printing technology, we evolved what was possible, taking lessons from Richard's other game, Keyforge, and then evolving that so that we actually algorithmically generate cards and be able to have a system that scans a hybrid deck from a physical deck into an online account and have a one-to-one collection. We're the first game that's doing that in the way that we're doing it. And so, yes, we're also going to be innovating and bringing ourselves to Web3 by bringing actually great games into the Web3 gaming space through Solana. And so we are constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible with the goal of serving players and making sure that the best game experience exists. So what I will do is, in addition to answering some of the questions that were already given to me, I will encourage anybody that's participating, come jump in the chats, throw some questions in the chats, and it doesn't have to be, it could be any topic, anything at all. I love talking about games, game design, or many other projects that we have going on at the same time as SolForge Fusion. But I'll talk a little bit about things that I have seen people asking already about SolForge Fusion's Web3 components. And there was a bunch of them, so I'll just start addressing a few of these things. First of all, talking about timelines and why are we doing this? Are we being first of all, let's get this. Are we being coerced into doing this? Or is there someone that's invested in us or purchased us or done something that's making us do this? The answer is no. We are not. We do have investors. We've had investors since the very beginning of the SolForge process, not even SolForge Fusion from back in the day. No investor has a majority stake in the company. I and our team are the ones making these decisions, and we will make the decisions that are in the best interest of this company. I have been making a living from games for 25 years now. My 44th birthday is May 9th. I've been doing this, like I said, since I was 17 and won the Magic the Gathering US National Championships. I've been running Stoneblade. Next year will be our 15-year anniversary. I am not here to make a quick buck. I'm not here to run any kind of scams. I'm here for life. This is what I do because I love it. I dropped out of law school. I could have been making a lot more money as a lawyer, I'm sure, but I'm here because I love this game. And so we are making all the decisions. I love making games. I love building communities. I love TCGs. I love all the stuff that we do. So we are here to make the best decisions that we think are in the interest of the community, of the game, of who we are. Nothing that's, if there's a mistake, you could blame me. Because I'm not saying we won't make mistakes, we totally will. But this is not an outside party control. This is nothing like that. So that's why we're doing this. And why are we doing this? Now, why do I think Web3 is cool and interesting? First of all, frankly, we come from a space of TCGs. When I played Magic the Gathering, I could take my physical deck and I could play it as long as I wanted. I could trade it to my friends. I could lend it to my friends. I could sell it. I could do anything I wanted with it. And that was totally normal and totally understandable. And for some reason, the modern era of digital gaming doesn't let you do that. And I think that sucks. I think it's unfair. And so my first answer to that, another one of the questions I got was, well, did you explore other paths? Couldn't you just do this yourselves? Couldn't you do this on a server? And I strongly encourage for anyone that wants to understand deeper of my thoughts about Web3, go to my Substack. So you can just go to justingarydesigns.com or Justin Gary, I think that'll take you to it. And it will take you, and I wrote an article about what I think about Web3, what I think about the possibilities of Web3. I wrote an article on Bitcoin back in 2018. I do think there's real powerful technology there. But to get specific, I think when I first thought about using Web3 in gaming, I had, I think, the same opinion as a lot of you. Well, couldn't you just do everything with a server? Couldn't you just do all of this on your own? And the answer is yes, it is possible to do pretty much everything that you could do in Web3 in a private server situation. But now being on this side of it and actually researching what it takes to build that system, to support that system, the administrative overhead, the legal challenges that come with having actual digital ownership for players, it is pretty much impossible for a small company to do. You just don't see it happening out there because it is incredibly expensive. Not just allowing people to do it, but having a system that actually supports it at scale and has the customer support and has the back end to do it. It is incredibly expensive. So when I looked into it, it was actually way better for as a company to be able to build these kinds of things to leverage the technology that already exists. One of the things I love about Web3, things are open, generally speaking, they're open source code. You can see what's out there. There's a lot of libraries, there's a lot of supporters and developers to help build those things. So this is, as a developer, it was a very powerful tool. From a player perspective, I very much want the idea that players can actually own their stuff and that they don't live on our servers over the long term. And I want to see that, I think that that's something that can be very powerful over the long term for allowing players to have full freedom, right? So even if it's not, and I also want to be clear, we're not, planning to take a cut. Like when you mint a deck and you sell it somewhere else to somebody else, we're not making money off that. When it comes to the SolForge Fusion currency, we are airdropping it to the community and we're letting the community fund reward people. So you could get it by playing the game, by winning tournaments. We wanted to be able to reward players who are like our Forge Guardians, the people who are helping to grow the community, for streaming the community. We're not selling tokens. We're not trying to make money off tokens. We're definitely not making any promises or representations of any kind that these tokens are going to be worth money or you're going to make more money off the tokens. That's not what we're here for. It's a way to incentivize people to do things that the environment needs them to do. And so allowing there to be a rarity and scarcity of these kinds of decks and a rarity and scarcity of these tokens allows them to have value. Like scarcity and rarity are not bad things in my world, right? You want to use them to make a great system that encourages great play and encourages great players and encourages great behavior amongst players. But that's what these tools are for. And so that's what we're building for. So that's hopefully answers some broader questions, and I'm happy to go into more detail. But I also want to talk about the way that we are building this with the community. I heard some people say, look, why didn't you tell us about all this before, right? How long have you been thinking about this? And why haven't we talked to the community before? And I believe that it is very important to stay open and transparent with the community, to talk to the community and to get feedback. I also think that it is important to not put speculation out there before it is ready and that there's something that's concrete to say. A lot of times you talk about a feature, and I think a lot of other companies have made this mistake where they'll talk about, especially something as contentious as Web3 and NFTs, and you put it out there without having put sufficient thought into it, without having put sufficient development work into it to say, yes, this is something we really can do. Yes, this is the actual plan. Yes, this is what we're going to do. Then it creates more chaos than it does support. And so let me be very clear about what is happening today, what we are for sure doing and we're moving forward with, so we can make sure that what we're building in the short term. And then there's things that are not defined that I want to be able to talk to the community about and where we go, right? So what we're building in the short term is purely a opt-in way for you to trade and sell your digital decks, right? So you will, right now, as a tabletop player, you have the ability to take your physical deck, you can scan it into your account, at which point it's locked, and you can't trade your deck. You could give your physical deck to somebody, but it doesn't do you any good to play in tournaments because the digital account, being locked in your digital account is what decides whether your deck is going to be useful to you or not. And so, but if you want to, you can unlock your physical deck and then you can trade it, sell it, and do whatever you want with it. And we don't track it. You do whatever you want, right? It's your object. And the way that the Web3 version of your decks are going to work is exactly the same. So when I say, You can lock it into your account. Your decks will be locked into your account. That means you can't trade them, sell them, do anything with them, and you're going to be able to play with them as normal. Or you can unlock your deck from your account, mint it into have an unlocked NFT, and then you can sell it, trade it, do whatever you want, right? And then that's on you. And if you bring it, somebody else puts it in their account, locks in their account, then it's locked, stays in the account, play it in your account, do everything you want with it in the game, but it's not going to go anywhere. Exact same functionality. You do not have to do this. I don't want anybody to feel like they need to do this. I understand that many people out there are scared of Web3 or NFTs or what happens if I lose my decks and whatever. If you don't want to unlock decks, if you don't want to separate them out, you don't have to. But that's an opportunity for people, and I think it actually creates a great parallel. I think SolForge Fusion, honestly, is one of the best games to use this technology. I think a lot of games that shoehorn NFTs into their games, or a lot of games that had tried to make money off of tokens but weren't a great game to begin with, obviously they failed because that's not, people need great gameplay to start with, and they need to be able to understand what does it mean, what's the value of a deck, right? What's the value of the NFT? If it's just a skin or something that doesn't have value in a game, it's not going to make the same sense. But because SolForge Fusion is the only game out there that has unique, one-of-a-kind, tradable decks that can also be shuffled and combined with other decks, each one is unique and valuable, and so we think that people should be able to capitalize on that value if they want to trade, they want to sell, they want to do anything that they want with their decks, and that's what we're empowering here. Okay, so again, I believe that this is nothing but upside for the audience. If you are a player of the game, you will get the ability to play. You will get the ability to get some free tokens and use this. If you don't want to do it, ignore it. So that's the short version. Okay, I'm seeing some questions come in from the live stream here, so I'm going to share these. Why isn't this lock/unlock function available for digital decks the same way they are already with the physical decks? And so the answer is that's exactly what we're building. 100%, that's exactly what we're building. You will be able to lock and unlock your digital decks, and what it means to unlock a digital deck is that it will become something that you could put into your personal wallet, your personal account, and then sell, trade, do with whatever you want with it. That's what exactly the feature we're building. So it's a great question. That's it, in my head. That's exactly what I wanted. To build that without using Solana, without using Web3, would have been practically impossible for us because of how much infrastructure it takes to do that. So this was a key piece of why we're doing it this way, because I think it's actually just better for the player. You have more freedom. It allows us to spend less time building this back-end system and maintaining this back-end system because there's already a massive community out there that does this, and it gives you exactly the functionality you want, exactly the functionality that every single tabletop player already has today. Next question. There's no need or ability to mint physical decks, correct? We're talking specifically about digital decks, or will you be able to mint your physical decks and essentially make them digital? Also a good question. This was actually pretty hotly debated within our team. I have come down to the position that I think you should be allowed to mint your physical decks if you want to, right? If I buy a physical deck and I'm in the United States and I want to be able to trade that to somebody in Europe or in Asia, having to physically send them the physical deck felt like a little bit of a pain in the butt to me. And so I think we should allow you to mint those decks. Once you mint the deck, the digital deck becomes is the true owner, so you won't be able to, have somebody else scan that physical deck in after that. But one of our goals is that we will have technology in 2025 probably will be that where you could just, once you have the digital deck, you can order a print-on-demand version of the deck. So in theory, you could sell or trade your digital deck to somebody across the world. They could order a print-on-demand version. So it's always been the case that the digital ownership is what matters, right? Even before we had any of this conversation, you had to have the deck in your digital account to play in any tournaments, to earn any of the rewards. Everything had to be the deck has to be locked in your digital account for you to be able to play with it. That is exactly the same as it was yesterday. It's going to be exactly the same as it is a year from now. That doesn't change. Having a deck digitally in your account is what matters for purposes of playing SolForge Fusion. You want to play the app, you want to play in a tournament, any official way to play SolForge Fusion. So none of that is changing. It will allow you to transfer decks digitally as well as transfer decks physically. Next question. Will your average player that intends to trade digital decks be required to have a wallet not hosted by Stoneblade and learn to exchange multiple forms of cryptocurrency outside of Stoneblade web pages? That's a great question. So I understand that there are a lot of people that are concerned about the bad user experience that comes from a lot of Web3 things. This was one of my primary concerns also. So we don't have the full UI UX built yet, but we are going to give you over the next, let's say, month and a half, we'll give you very clear step-by-step instructions, how to connect a wallet,
What does it mean? How do you put the currency into the wallet? How you take the what we airdrop, which is just basically free SolForge currency we give you into your account. You will have to buy Solana, some very small amount of Solana. Like I don't know the exact numbers, but I think it's like less than $1 of a transaction to get your currency out or to mint a deck. It's very small amounts. Like part of the reason why we chose Solana as a platform, it's very energy efficient, it's very cheap, it's very effective, as opposed to certain other platforms that could be much more expensive. So we purposely chose something that would be cheap and easy. We are going to work through exactly which wallets we recommend, how we manage that system, how the user interface works. We want to make that as simple and as clean as possible for players. So it's a great question. It's something we are actively working on. I see a question about, can we buy digital decks? And 100% you can. Right now, the only way to buy digital decks is if you go to stoneblade.com. You can buy codes for digital booster packs. We are working actively on building an in-game store, so you'll be able to buy digital decks in the store. That will be live by the end of May, and then in June we will have this. The goal is to have this digital NFT trading and selling of your decks available. So you'll be able to buy other people's decks in June. You'll be able to buy decks directly. You can buy decks directly from us right now on stoneblade.com. And you get a code. Just enter the code in, and you'll get the decks in your account. In May, we'll have the interface a little bit cleaner. You'll actually have an in-app store. Again, every date is tentative till we get the bugs worked out, but that's what we're tracking to, and so that will allow you to, you can get access to all the decks you want and cool things. We want to make this as easy for you as possible, especially when you want to buy decks from us. That we love it when you do that. It helps us stay alive. So we appreciate you. And let's see. Let me make sure. What else do we need? 3 questions. I like all the first-time chatters. See, we're bringing in a lot of more community members, which I'm very excited about. Do all existing decks have the ability to be traded in the system? What happens if an account is compromised? Is there any recourse for the victim? Is there any way to get money out of the system? And okay, so I'm not going to answer any questions about securities law. We are not making any money off this. We are not selling tokens. We are not doing any of that stuff. We are allowing you to, every deck that has been paid for will be able to be minted into a deck. We are still in debates about the free decks that you earn, whether they should be unlocked or not. We are trying to make sure that there's no abuse systems and vectors to make sure that that's not the case. But any of the decks you buy, either physically or digitally, you'll be able to mint. And while we can protect internal accounts, obviously in the same way, if you have your physical deck stolen, right? If you have physical decks and you lose them, we can't do anything about it. It is definitely the case. If you choose to unlock a deck and have it in your own wallet, in the same way, if you choose to unlock a physical deck and have it at home, then you're responsible for that deck. It's your deck, it's your account, your physical goods, your digital goods. We trust our users with responsibility for ownership, and the challenge of us trying to manage all of that stuff is great. If you don't want to be there, then of course, again, all opt in. You could keep your decks locked, keep everything in your account, and then we have all of the standard mechanisms to protect that and manage all of that. Let's see, where else are we at? The old SolForge player spent over $1,000 buying the cards. My question is, I'm only a digital player. Can I throw them away after scanning them? Is there a chance something happens with the server and the server loses that data? Not totally sure I understand that question, but what I will say is if you bought physical decks and you scanned them into your online account, they are in our server. They're, barring something horrific, you don't need the physical decks anymore if you don't want to play physical decks. They're in your account. They're locked forever. That's what I've done with all my decks. Not all, but most, right? Because I pretty much only play digitally. I'm mostly a digital nomad and travel a lot, so I only keep a couple of physical decks around just to play with friends. I have about maybe a dozen that I'll mix and match. So yes, insofar as the decks are locked in your account, they're locked in your account, and they're on our servers, and we can handle them as normal. Kidding about keeping them in the bank as opposed to keeping them in your wallet. Keep your money in your wallet. It's your money. You're responsible for it. You keep it in the bank. With us, we have it. It's fine. It is a reasonable way to do it. And this is just for your safety deposit box. I don't know how you track for your collectible cards. I kept some of my most expensive Magic cards in my safety deposit box for a while because I was afraid. But all right, let's see here. Okay, this is a good question. Has there been consideration for the outward appearance of blockchain and NFTs look outside of the community? And this was a tough one. In fact, if I were going to say there was one reason not to do this, it's because of the negative connotation that exists around blockchains and NFTs. And I want to say that This is part of why we weren't sure. We honestly didn't make the final decision until recently that we wanted to go this way at all. But I don't believe that we should be making decisions purely based on fear and on what people think might possibly happen when we logically feel that it's the best thing in the interest of players. There have been other games and other accounts and other things that have not done this right. That doesn't mean that it's not right to do it here. Every phase of new technology for gaming has had resistance and has had people say, this is terrible, this is evil, right? Collectible card games were exactly that. Oh my God, you have to spend so much money to play this game. This is evil, this is wrong. Microtransactions in games, people said that. Subscriptions in games, people said that, right? This is a different business model. This is a different way that I believe serves the interests of players. And again, we do take into consideration perception. Perception matters a lot. We want to make sure that that the game is perceived well, and that's part of why we built this game on 3 separate pillars that stand on their own. Tabletop players can play tabletop; they never have to worry about digital. Digital players can play digital; they never have to worry about tabletop. Either of those players can ignore Web3 entirely. Right? And we wanted to allow Web3 to exist as a way that people are excited about it, that want more value from their decks to be able to trade and sell them and buy the decks that they want digitally across the world. Like SolForge Fusion is not available everywhere. We've had a global release, but a lot of places don't have it. A lot of stores don't carry it. And I want those people to be able to have access to not only to cool cards and digital objects, but to be able to find the cool ones that they want. Right? It also gives us a lot more opportunities to do really cool things down the road, like awarding tokens as prizes and have people to be able to have not just for tournaments but for other effects. I think there's a lot of really exciting things that can happen down the road, and I'll talk more in a little bit as well about the more speculative stuff that could come down the road. But I want to be clear, like all we're building and all we're making sure of right now is that everybody has an opt-in way to trade and take full ownership of their digital decks, and we're using Solana blockchain to do that. Every player that is playing the game will get tokens for free to let them do this. The entire buy-in for you will be some amount of Solana, which is in the single-digit dollars amount that you can experiment with it. We will give you a clear, instructions and clear flow about how to participate in it, and you will not have much to lose here to try it. If you don't want to try it, that's cool, right? I don't want people to feel like they were forced into this. I want to make sure everybody is I think this is an exciting opportunity. And so and then are there more things we can do with it down the road? Are there more things I'm excited about doing this down the road? Absolutely. Again, I know there's some more questions coming in, so I will also answer those. But I wrote this in a post on Twitter recently. But the original SolForge, having to shut that down was one of the worst things in my entire career. Maybe the worst thing that ever happened to me in my entire career. I hate the idea of a game that you've built, that you play, that you get to have in your community suddenly being gone. And my vision for this long term is that not only will you own your digital decks and they're in your account, you have them forever, but that eventually we could have the ability to transfer the servers to something that's maintained by the network, and having the ability to have the entire game exist in a way that doesn't depend upon our team over the long term, that you can have this exist and have this be something that you can play and own and enjoy. Now that's not what we're building right now. That's a ways away, and there's a lot of questions that have to get answered for how to do that. But to me, that promise of true player ownership and games that never go away is something that is very exciting to me. It's one of the reasons that I'm excited about this space personally, and I want to continue to be pushing at the forefront of what we can do. But each step beyond the simple opt-in trading, your collection is better than it was, is something we're going to build with the community. That's one of the things we're trying to do. All right, let me jump back into the questions here. When print-on-demand technology comes along, will deck printing be available for replacement of a damaged deck? Absolutely. Once you have as I mentioned earlier in the stream, once we are able to hook up print-on-demand to the system, which is part of the roadmap, again, probably for next year, you will be, if you have a digital deck in your account, you can print as many copies as you want. You just order them and they'll print and ship to you, and you can have them. You can reprint it because your deck's damaged or broken. You can print it because you bought the deck digitally, or somebody traded you the deck digitally and you want to play in a physical tournament. That is totally available and something I'm excited about. And let's see, what else do we got here? Looks like a lot of discussion amongst the group. I still don't understand why there has to be a blockchain implementation of trading right now. when I can email my friend a link to the deck and unlock code, a full scan of the QR code. They claim that deck and add it to their account. That's the so. Yeah, I think that the ability, people are not gonna. The idea that you could somehow email your digital decks and that we would maintain that system is a lot more complicated than I think you might be leading on to be. It's not a right now. If you want to sell it, you can absolutely sell and trade your physical decks. It requires some amount of trust between the parties that I'm going to unlock the deck and give you the deck in time, and you're going to scan it in the right way. Right? There's some amount of trust that has to happen when you're transferring things that way. The point of a blockchain system is to remove that trust. You can have a clear transfer exchange, and it's all handled and it's all very vetted and used by a lot of people. So. Yeah. There's a question of will minted decks be stored on the blockchain as the full deck list so a third party could parse what's in the deck without having to connect to Stoneblade's server? Yes, the idea is that you will have all the relevant information about a deck will be stored with it. The exact details of everything, like we want to make sure that the deck has the information of it, not only its card list, but it's like the XP that it's earned in digital play, ranking, if it's got story links to it, all that stuff we want to be part of the collectible object going forward. Yeah, so and then as I mentioned, the other things like I don't ever want, hopefully from our current community we've earned enough trust to take you on this additional journey. I understand that, and I think we're actually going to bring a lot more players in that are excited about this. It's not, there's a community of tabletop, of kind of more traditional gamers that are justifiably scared of NFTs, scared of Web3 because they have seen only scam examples in the past, or a lot of scam examples in the past. There's also a community of players who are very excited about this sort of thing. And I think bringing a great game and a great community like SolForge Fusion to those players is one of the opportunities we have to grow because, just let's be honest, it doesn't, Web3, not Web3, it doesn't matter. The key is that this community continues to grow and we continue to bring more people in. If we don't do that, then, it doesn't matter what technology is behind the game, right? We need a growing, thriving community. That's what really matters. And so there's a lot of exciting things that we're doing and a lot of things we're still going to do. And again, this is why we're having the conversation. I want everybody to know I appreciate very much all of the discussion and back and forth. There's been a lot of people raising concerns, and hopefully, there's people that's been addressing them. We are listening to those things, right? There's a lot of concerns that are just misinformation, right? Like a lot of people are afraid of the environmental impact, right? And we particularly chose the Solana platform because it has no more environmental impact than doing Google searches or any other transaction that you do on the internet that nobody thinks about. And then there are concerns that are important and real, like so the questions that were raised about if you're going to have, if you have your own decks and your own wallet and you choose to unlock it, that's on you, and you have to be careful, right? 100%. You have to take, if you choose to use this, you're taking responsibility for it, and what we can do to make sure that players know that, and that what you can do to maintain, just like you don't leave your door unlocked at home when you've got $1,000 on the table. If you've got a very expensive deck that you've chosen to unlock and trade, be careful, right? Don't leave a bunch of money in your wallet and just drop your wallet out on the street. Those things are true, right? So I don't want to undermine that. Like in the world where you take responsibility for your stuff, you have responsibility for your stuff. And so we're going to do what we can to make the process as easy as for people, as transparent as possible for people, and so on. So it's a good question. All right. With a major future push towards digital, do you expect most events in the future to be digital and stuff like FuseFest and Worlds to be the only physical events? Honestly, this comes down to the players, right? What can we do to get, how much traction do we get, and how much are people excited about digital events versus how much people are excited about physical events? And we provide the capacity. If people want to run events at their local stores, if they want to run more things happening around the world, we're happy to support that. And there's a variety of those things that do happen. Digital events are great because they're able to access the entire global community. We don't have to travel to go there. And Church has done a great job as our organized play manager putting those things on. But this is a community-based thing. And again, this is one of the ideas in my mind where having a token system and a community that can actually eventually vote on where those things go, right? So maybe there's our top tabletop players and our top digital players and the people who've staked tokens and the people who've all been involved can all kind of help vote on, okay, what are we going to assign rewards and prizes and tokens to? I think there's a lot of interesting stuff that can happen down the road. And again, that's something that more design and more work is coming. But I think that this is always a player question, right? And it's the stuff that I think, honestly, the community should have the most involvement in, right? Long term, I still believe I'm good at my job. Richard's good at his job when it comes to designing the game, making individual game design choices. I don't think should be a community voted thing. But I do think when we say what kind of tournaments should we run, where should those tournaments be run, how should we distribute prizes, how should we reward player behavior in different communities, is 100% something that the community should be giving a voice in, and that's something I do want to be moving forward in that direction over time. Can we elaborate on what you mean by saying you'll need to buy less than $1 of Solana? Is this a one-time thing, or does this happen every trade? Also, you know, these assets will be something we need to be reported on our taxes if we're transacting in crypto. So I am not a tax attorney, so I'm not claiming to have any expertise in tax knowledge. However, I don't, you know, what will happen is anytime you want to make a transaction on Solana, you have to pay some small amount of Solana to do that, right? That's the kind of transaction cost. Those costs are trivially small. Trades, I do not believe that they have like whatever. I'm not gonna comment on any tax things. I'm not a tax trader. I do not believe that any of the small scale types of trades or selling or buying that anybody does. In the same way, if you sold on TCG Player, you sold cards, or you sold project, anything else, you don't have to report. If you're making money, you should pay taxes. If you're just trading stuff, I don't think you have to pay taxes. But not a tax attorney, not giving tax advice. I think that there's a lot of misinformation about what the implications are for these things. But I'm not going to get into that in detail because it's not my profession. All right. So let me see. I'm gonna go back and make sure I answered all the Discord questions, and then I'd like to play some games if I can. I know this is mainly people wanted to ask questions. There was one that says, "How long does Stoneblade plan to support the game?" And that, man, if I haven't answered that question via my own existence, we made this game in 2011, and I wouldn't let the damn thing die, and so we're still here in 2024 working on the game. Ascension I have made for 14 years. My goal is to make these games forever. That is what I try to do. I don't build games that are designed to be around for a year or two. I build games that are designed to be around forever. Now, if there's not a community for that game, well, okay, so be it. I can only do so much, but that is my goal. That is what I'm doing. That is what every single decision that everybody here at Stoneblade makes. And we are a passionate group that loves the game, that loves the community, that wants to do what's best for the community. That is, and I encourage everybody to join our Discord and come talk to us, talk to our teams, the people who made it and saw our team at FuseFest. Most of our team will be at Gen Con in August. You'll see that it's a genuine passion that we have, and we're going to do our best to support everybody out there that wants to be a part of the game and wants to build there. So I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of great things ahead, and I think this game is good enough to last, forever. But that's my target. I don't have full control over that, of course. I wish I did, but I don't. All right, and I'll do one more quick scan for any major questions that I hadn't answered. There's a question about NFT ownership. What does ownership actually mean, and what value does that convey to the customer? Can they? So this is not the kind of thing where you're getting like IP rights to the game. It's ownership, just like you own a Magic card, right? Just like you own a physical. You're a physical deck owner. It's the same basic rights that you have there that you have with your digital decks. It's a digital object you own. You could trade. You could sell. You could do whatever you want with it. You could light it on fire, virtually light it on fire. I guess I don't know. Throw your wallet away, whatever. You can do all those things. It's ownership like you own any other thing you buy at the store. So that's what it means for anybody that's not clear. Okay, I think I'm gonna jump into a game because remember, SolForge Fusion is about fun. That is the main thing. If we're not having fun, then we're not doing it right. We recently implemented player XP bonuses. So one of the things, we have the player XP track. You guys can see this is. Just to talk a little bit about more functionality here, we have the player X. This is the initial track, right? The more you play your deck, the more they level up. The more they level up, the more you get free things. So we recently added, you can not only unlock set 1 decks and beginner decks, but you can also unlock White Fang Pass decks. This is our second set. This was released last year. And for those that don't know, our newest set, the last winter, is coming very soon. So we don't have, I think, the exact launch date finalized, but I think it's like either the last week of May or first week of June, something like that. It's very, very soon. Some players got to play with last winter at a Fuse Fest event last weekend. I heard people were very, very excited about it. Our very own Nick Fletcher was lead design on that one, and it's amazing. Very exciting stuff. So I encourage everybody to get excited. We'll start doing some pre-sale stuff. I know Kickstarter. Oh, the great question about Kickstarter backers. You guys will get your product first. When exactly? Probably be a week or so before the main launch. It's actually the main reason we're pushing back the main launch, to make sure we get everything to the Kickstarter backers first. So we'll get you more details ready to go. And let's see what else. I just want to also acknowledge, like, we give you a bunch of rewards early on. These other rewards are like, they take a while to get to. You'll notice in my account that I don't even have them yet. This is a known issue. We are working to get more rewards and more ways that you can earn stuff in the game. It's a key piece of this. So it's something that takes a lot of time, though, right? Because giving away full decks is a lot, so we only want to give that so often. It's a big thing, so we want to figure out how to give people cool rewards, and we do have a plan for this. We do have updates coming. We're also working on more. One of the features we're working on right now is, oh wait, is that the right deck? Yeah, sure. I'll jump in online battle if anyone wants to battle me. One of the features we're working on right now is online matchmaking. Right now, it just pairs you with anybody, and that can be frustrating if you have a very small collection or you're just getting started and you play against the people that are out there with a large collection. That can be a little rough. So we ended up fixing that, and we are fixing that right now. So you'll have some better match protection. All right, I got a game ready to go. This is fun. I love gaining life. This is fun. If it's somebody that's on the stream I'm playing against, don't cheat. Don't look at my hand. But we'll play. Alt art minion rewards. That is something that's on the roadmap. Turns out getting the cosmetics to work properly is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. It's a annoyingly slow process, and we're working on it, but it's taking its time. And so it's harder to prioritize than a lot of the core features, but we'll get there eventually. But it is on the roadmap. Also, I've noted the question about wanting the ability to rename decks. I don't think renaming, so you can name your Fuse decks, of course, but I don't know that renaming Forge or your basic decks is your faction decks is on the roadmap. But we do want to allow you to have the functionality to add custom tags to your decks. So if you go to the website, SolForgeFusion.com, you can actually do this right now. So if you log in and you go to your collection, you can add tags to your deck. So let's say you want to have a better ability to search your decks, right? And we know that this is an issue a lot of players have talked about, something that they want to make sure they have the ability to do. So you can add custom tags to your deck, and then when you go in, even in the client, in the Steam client, you can search via those tags. So let's say you really want your zombie decks, you can add tags for zombies, or you can say, hey, this deck is my, we already have a favorites function in the app, but these are my, tier 2 decks or tier 3 decks. You can search for that, whatever tags you want. So we're going to work on the ability to add tags within the game that will let you do the same functionality. All right. Let's see here. This matchup doesn't look great. Do I have anything good? I don't even remember. All right. I like this deck because I get to level up a bunch of stuff and play a bunch of extra cards every turn, which is just not necessarily the best play, but it's fun. Let's go for it. Why not? I'm gonna give myself the ability to sacrifice this guy and play an extra guy, which is not much different than playing an extra guy, but I get to level an extra card to set myself up for future turns, which I'm always a fan of. You want tags on fusions also. That's interesting. Well, you can name your fusion decks whatever you want, so you have the ability to kind of organize those by name. Hopefully that helps, and then you can work on the other pieces. Forget what this card does. What does Shard Cavern do? Creatures with land of breakthrough, 15 attack or more, transform it into a surging cat. Okay, great. We're having fun. Yeah, the tagging and like how to manage large collections is also a big thing on our roadmap, right? If you've got 10 decks, 20 decks, it's manageable. But if you've got 100 decks, 200 decks, it is tough to go through your collection and manage it. So things like tagging, we're working on pagifying the collection so you don't load the whole collection all at once. giving ourselves a lot of different ways to work on a better system all around. So those are some cool steps that we want to do, and I welcome other ideas that ways we can make this better. It's definitely like we want SolForge Fusion to be a game where everybody can easily play and easily have access to, quickly build a deck and go. It's part of the fun of doing this as opposed to, trying to build a 60 card deck out of a normal collection. But it doesn't quite work out so easily all the time. This guy's what? Right. So be it. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat. All right. Whoa. It's getting a little crazy over there. That guy's big. That guy's big. This tide's turned a little bit here. Not excited about what I'm seeing. All right, let's at least turn this off for now. We'll see what happens next. Keeping things interesting. I do really enjoy playing this game, man. I like having these different synergies that come built in. This guy's deck is a little more synergistic than mine, I think, but so it goes. Ooh, that's what I get for not reading the text. I realize that was spiky. I probably should have just sacrificed that guy to play somebody else. But, lessons learned. Alright, so this guy does exhaust things. I don't love the situation. I mentioned the Kickstarter product question already. I saw this question in the chat. We will be sending out Kickstarter product. You'll receive it in May. Exact date I can't say, but you will get it in May this month. So soon. Also, I have a really cool video. It's not SolForge Fusion related. I know most of you are here for SolForge Fusion, but I just saw like a cool video of our Ascension Tactics Inferno miniatures all getting placed into the molded vacuum formed tray. We'll be posting that on our channel soon. It's really cool. They look amazing. Beazle Pug, giant demon pug. The Lord of Darkness is as awesome as I hoped it would be. I think that may be my favorite thing I've ever created in my entire career. It's so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. Okay, anyway, sorry. I'm just vamping here and wasting time. And I'll let that go. 2 spell sprite minions, eh? Okay, that's fine. That's cool, man. That's cool. Oy. Yeah, the Pug Demon is the coolest. Again, I think it's literally the coolest single thing I've ever made in my 20 some odd years making games. I'm very excited about it. Oh there. Okay, your deck is better than my deck, I think, but that's fine. I'm not gonna let that slow me down. I am not gonna let that slow me down. Make some goodies. Meh. Alright, see that extra card I leveled? That strategy paid off. I was able to play the level 2 version of my, whatchamacallit, of the, what do we got? Forge Seal, and that actually ended up being pretty powerful. Not as powerful as what he's doing every turn, but still, that's not the point. Oof, buddy. I'm gonna get rolled this game. Okay, cool. I actually don't even like this Forgeborn. Actually, this is actually a fun thing. So the Forgeborn, I do like this deck, but I'm actually playing the worst Forgeborn here. And part of the reason why I'm doing that, my other Forgeborn is a better. Let me see. Can I do my deck list? Bring my deck list up. I think I can do that. Should still work. Yeah. So I like my Nova Forgeborn a little better, but I purposely am playing the Nixnekia Forgeborn because I am not maxed out my level. And so I can still earn experience, and I earn experience in PvP games, and I want to max out the level for that. So I'm playing the other Forgeborn so I can earn more XP because I think that's fun. I'm in trouble, but that's all right. I'm still going to just play for fun because that's what we do here. We play for fun. The game is fun. But you can see like that, it's actually a lot of little subtle design decisions that are really important. Because I think that the ability to encourage people to play different decks and see different Forgeborn is one of the important things. Like that's why every deck has a level cap, and in order to earn more things, you've got to be able to play more of the different decks. And I think the game is the most fun when you have to make different combinations and play different setups. Let's see here. We're not doing anything really fun. We're just kind of spinning our wheels here, but we'll do it because why not? I've let him keep this other guy out for too long. I'm kind of distracted, but that's all good. That's all good. I don't mind losing as long as we're having fun. Boom. All right. Good question. Will matchmaking eventually be based on deck XP? No, it will not. Deck XP is not a good estimation of actual deck's power level, right? XP is earned every time you play. It always goes up. It's not a system that gets you an accurate portrayal of the skill level of the deck or the player. And so we will actually have a behind-the-scenes system, which we are not going to reveal all the details of, but it will be a functional system to allow you to have a ranking for your deck and a ranking for your player account. And matchmaking will be a combination of the two, so that a good player can still play a bad deck, and they will get the pairing will drop down as opposed to you playing your best deck. So we wanted to make sure both things were taken into account. So that's actually, and it's something we're going to continue to tweak and work on as the game progresses. This is really good. This Furious Shardback is a really good card. Whoever made that, good job. And that's game. All right, good job, Nevron. Good game. But look at all this XP I've earned. 2,324 XP. Well managed. Cool. All right. Let me just switch back into I'll switch back into just me chatting mode, I think, because that's probably got a game in, got the thing. Let me just see if I can do this without bothering anybody. Working on my stream skills. And okay, great. Just me talking again. All right, good game, Negrons. So, there was a question from More Than Most about matchmaking, publicly visible matchmaking. So public ranking and ladders and stuff like that is also on the roadmap. That is not the thing we're building right now. What's most important right now is that players are protected from the sharks out there, and you know who you are. And so what will happen is we'll make sure that if your new player coming in with starter decks doesn't just get paired against Nevron right now with his monster deck. And so what that will mean on the downside, and again, just to prepare you, like you will have somewhat longer queue wait times for those when you go into the queue with those kinds of decks. But I think it's worth it because we saw this with our launch week. A lot of people jumped into the game. They played online, they got curb stomped, and they're like, all right, well, I'm not doing that again, and they left, right? So we don't want that to happen going forward, especially when we leave early access. So it's important to make sure that those player groups are protected. Eventually, we will be working on a system that will allow more public-facing rankings. I think it's really important, and this is another good topic for discussion for people, and we can continue this in the Discord when I'm done with the stream, but we have a gold, silver, and bronze deck ranking system that's come out of the tabletop gaming circuit, where your deck can earn ranks depending upon the level of tournament you play in, and then tournaments can be restricted based on the deck rankings. I think that system should be translated into the digital app, and your deck gold, silver, bronze ratings you should see them in the digital app. You should have the ability to earn different rankings, and you could see what rank your deck is, and it could move up and down, and you could get that kind of status. But we don't have that fully designed yet, so exactly how we build that out is important, and I think you want to have matchmaking like we're building right now, which is behind the scenes matchmaking. So we're making sure that the pairings are fair, but it's not showing the players what's happening, because that could lead to other problems. And then we want forward facing rankings which say, hey, look how cool I am. I did this rank, I made it to gold star, I made it to platinum, whatever the different rankings are, right? I think both those things are important for gameplay. So the other thing I wanted to point out is we added a lot of cool new PvE upgrades. We're continuing to add more stuff in the algorithmically generated campaign mode. My goal is that the campaign experience is something you could play hundreds of hours of, continue to repeat. We're looking to add more boss monsters. We're looking at an entire other boss, like end boss campaign with the Scorchworm. All that stuff's going on behind the scenes. Just add more ways to play, more ways to have fun, more ways to experience the decks and the enjoyment of this game, right? We built something that I think, look, I know I'm very proud of. I still play it in the evenings when I'm done working. I'm playing SolForge, so I'm still kind of working. And so hopefully lots of you will be able to enjoy it and continue to play it for many, many, many years to come. I want to appreciate and send just the utmost gratitude for everybody that has joined us and made this possible by being a part of our early access campaign, by being a part of our crowdfunds, and for all of you that are now joining and becoming part of the community and checking out this next phase as we build this third pillar of the game. It's a great honor to be able to do this for a living and to be able to play games with y'all. So thank you all for being with me. I will be back again soon, I am sure. I will see you all in the Discords for many more conversations. So thanks again, and I will see you in the Discords and in the online queues.